Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races, such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
A circuit that has proven over the years that it can contribute at an amazing level. Often the forgotten circuit of the legends of racing in Japan. It's not quite Suzuka, it isn't quite Fuji, but it is the mobility resort at Motegi. It is a circuit that in IndyCar circles is famous for the only win of Danica Patrick. Today here in Tochigi Prefecture in Japan, it's round 3 of the Formula B Super Formula Series here with SimSpeed TV and on iRacing. My name's Jake Sperry. Along with me for today's actions, Cameron Dance here as Jay Kennedy sits on production for this one. Cam, has to be said, this is a track that has a very unique flow to it, and you either gel with this place or you really don't.
Yeah, it's one of those very weird and odd circuits compared to, I guess, most other tracks that we have around the world, where it's not flowing, it's not stop-start, it's got everything in between, and it makes it, as you say, a track you're either going to really like or you're just going to want to throw it in the bin and run away from, because it has no in-between. It really is one of those tracks where it separates the men from the boys and really separates those who commit hard and who's push the car to the limit.
There are 6 European races that follow on from this: Hockenheimring, Zandvoort, Jerez, Silverstone, Imola and Hungaroring before Suzuka comes back to mind on May 23rd. Championship finishing out on the streets of Long Beach and at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache, otherwise known as Interlagos, on June 6th. So a lot to be found out there in terms of where you need to go and score. And speaking of scoring, championship points worth talking about right now. That win in Watkins Glen, a huge boon of a margin for Adam Merchant. He takes points maxima and looks at the fact that there was no start for Timothy Friis-Larsen, and so that is a big 15-point lead, Cam, at the top of the standings.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially this early on in the championship as well. We're only 3 rounds in as of today, but that's still quite a nice little margin and buffer to have, especially going into the rest of the season where you don't know what's going to happen, but you know you're going to have a strong season more than likely. So it's potentially going to be a little bit of a hard challenge for the rest of the field going forward to catch up to Adam Merchant, but that's a pretty good start, you'd have to say.
Oh, it's a very good start, and we will see how good that start is. We know as well today, as you take a look around here at Motegi, there was a strong chance that rain was going to be on the horizon, but it doesn't look like there is any here in qualifying. As far as it goes, just a little bit hazy right now in Tochigi Prefecture, and drivers will know that it's a very cold track temperature out there. Well, actually, it's actually quite all right. It's 29 degrees, so a little bit misleading here with how heavy it is. Obviously, it is so thick and humid here today that the heat is just being warmed in like a blanket at the moment. So they've got a lot to do out there. 18 cars here today out there racing, and they know first things first, qualifying is critical. 3 championship points on the line, Cam, if you can get it on pole. 2 for second, 1 for third.
Yeah, and something that's not very often a thing in official series, but these guys have set this up, and it's going to be interesting to see who can get pole as a result, because those 3 championship points can be quite beneficial, as we've seen with the way that this championship is playing out for Adam Merchant at the moment. He's got 6 in hand at the moment as far as poles goes for his championship points in qualifying, but getting 3 more if you're behind him is going to be very, very helpful.
It certainly will do, and we'll keep an eye out as they look to set themselves up. They will also note drivers like Dan Jiang is here today, Rob Mandermarker, who is in 4th position in the championship. He can make an effort to climb up the order today. So there are drivers who can prove that they are challengers to the championship crown. As we take a look down at the Twin Ring Motegi, it's a 14-turn circuit, but critically on those 14 turns, you got what is a very basic start for the first 5. Flowing middle sector, aggressive run down the hill to turn 11, Cam.
Yeah, and then from that point on, it gets really technical through 11, 12, 13, 14, where it's pretty much you come to almost a stop, a standstill for turn 11 to get it stopped at the bottom of the hill. And then you've got that very fast but committed and technical section for the final sector, where you've got a quick left-hander and then into a left-right chicane, which is very, very easy to get wrong if you just push a little bit too hard. It's very inviting to push it in there knowing that you're right at the end of the lap, but you just have to back it off just that ever so slightly bit, knowing you've just got to get the exit right, otherwise you're going to throw the entire lap away.
This is, of course, one of Honda's testing tracks out there. The main plant of Honda is just a few miles down the road to the west. So this is a really critical piece of infrastructure for Honda's ability to go out there and understand the likes of the bikes, the cars that they run, and all of the effort that is there. James Byrne, currently fastest of the lot as it stands, a 129.136. Mackenzie Stewart out there right now in the number 17, looking to improve on time as well. Solovier going 4th fastest. Lucas Hand in 8, working through at turn 9 and up to the very tight turn 10 hairpin.
See what Macca can do here. He's going to throw it in a turn 10. Nice hit on the apex. Tries to get the power down as best he can. A little bit of oversteer. Not too much, but just a little bit of opposite lock. Trying to slide those rear tyres. Maximize the grip that he's got on the way down to turn 11. Now flat out. Hard on the brake pedal. Trying to get it stopped. It not lock the inside front as well. Nicely done. With a quick run through the final sector. Turn 12. Up 13. Into 14 for the final time. Gets the power down nicely. A little bit undercommitted potentially there, but we'll see what the lap time is going to look like for him here as he crosses the line. He is going to go P11, so not a bad starting lap. We'll see what he can do for lap 2 though.
Yeah, he'll need to do a bit better though. That 1:30.3 is 1.2 seconds off the pace at the moment. Interesting to note, we got father and son racing. James Byrne the son, Jamie Byrne the father out there running. And there is James, who's currently the fastest at the moment and has just gone even quicker to a 29 flat. There is Jamie, 1:30.6 crossing the line, doesn't improve on position. Still a lot of drivers who can think that they can jump on up the order. You got the likes there of Chris Rosenkrantz, for example, who's out there on a lap. Ben Ford, another one. Daniel Radmilovic is going to be hoping to come along, and Marcus Alarcon is currently in 7th position with a 129.5. Now, will this be able to improve crossing over towards the line? And the answer to that is going to be a 28.9, which is good enough to go fastest by, get this, 0.004 of a second.
Yeah, pipping Dan Jiang very, very nicely there. Very clean and tidy lap as well. So Adam Merchant has been dethroned from the pole throne at the moment, with the fact that he is no longer out there. He's finished all his laps. So it's a new pole sitter this week by the looks of it.
Yep, so that's 3 points at the moment for Alarcon, 2 for Dan Jiang and 1 for James Byrne, unless someone like Rosenkrantz can do anything to stop it. We'll have a second lap after this one if this doesn't go the way of intended. Out of 14, very quick run over towards the line and crossing for a 129.1. That's good enough for P6, so needs to fight 0.2 of a second to move on up into the top 3. So this is a big lap needed now by Rosenkrantz, the German, who now works into turns 3 and 4 on track, working that line on the inside, fighting the steering wheel for drive off the exit. Small correction there of oversteer leading towards turn 5.
Yeah, that double left as well. You're just trying to get on the power as best you can without spinning the reels. Very, very hustling at the moment on the way through the middle sector. You can see he's just trying to get that power down through some of these tighter corners, trying to maximize the downforce through the fast ones, through the chicane up here. Looking very, very nice at the moment. It's not looking like it's too bad of a lap, and it's actually trending quite nicely as well. So let's see if it's actually going to end up being a new pole lap, but so far so good.
So far so good. Turn 10 then here at the hairpin, looking now for a good drive and saying, all right, now we need to charge on through. A race where anybody can enter just so long as you have a high enough iRating out there at this point. So down on the brakes into turn 11, now needing the drive here through 12 and 13, underneath the oval and back over towards the east side, out there on track, getting right up onto the curb. How good's the lap with 15 seconds remaining in qualifying? 28.7, he blitzes it by 0.2. What a lap by Chris Rosenkrantz. He gave it absolutely everything out there, and he's gonna get pole for his troubles and 3 championship points in the back pocket. What a day for that in qualifying, and a field that will line up as follows for 23 laps worth of racing. Chris Rosenkrantz then will have the pole position with Marcos Alarcon and Dan Jiang second and third and scoring their points. James Byrne, who is second in the iRacing Grand Prix Tour right now, he's fourth out there as Kostek Solovier and Adam Merchant, the championship leader, can only manage 6th. Rob Mandermarker starts this one in 7th with Dennis Branch in 8th as Daniel Radmilovic will go from 9th in the top 10. Rounded out by Lucas Hand. Then you've got Brett Greaves, who will start this one from 11th with the German Benjamin David. Then in 12th position, it leads over to Mackenzie Stewart and home soil for Mizuki Narahara, who will go from 14th. Jamie Byrne was the last to set a time, which means by iRating, the final 3 drivers, Ben Ford, Victor Awad, and Gerhard Roetz, are going to be 16th, 17th, and 18th positions out there on this grid. They will have 2 minutes in the haze to get themselves ready and sorted. It's 110 kilometers. They don't need a pit stop. They've got 17 instant points to play with, and at disqualification limit, it is 25. They also have use of that overtake system, or OTS, which will give them as much chance as possible to burn, to use it, and to give what they can. It's 100 seconds cooldown every time that you're there, so keep an eye out on the lap times. You've got it just about once a lap, maybe once every 2 laps if you're unfortunate, but right now, they know it's a quick run on a quintessential Super Formula circuit towards turn number 1 here on iRacing and with us at SimSpeed TV. Welcome to your evening, your morning, wherever you are around the world, because this is all for it out there. Round 3 of the championship, just waiting for Lucas Hand to get up onto the field and get set and ready for running. 17 gridded, and they've got 2 minutes to go and get themselves there. All on, all ready, all set. Lights on here at Motegi. The Mobility One Motegi will see racing roaring into action right now. Green flag drops and we're underway. Shocker from Rosenkrantz then. Alarcon immediately takes the race lead. Dan Jiang is on the outside looking through. But here comes James Byrne down to the inside. He immediately steals second. Spinners in the background then through the opening corner. Troubles for Rob Mandermarker then and Chris Rosenkrantz.
Yeah, a bit of drama further back. The pole sitter just burst in the wheel spin off the line. Absolutely no use to him at all. He's dropped way down into the mid-pack. I think he might have just avoided that incident that happened at turn 1, but not a good start at all for Rob Mandermacher and a couple of others that unfortunately made contact. But a very, very nice start from James Byrne, who's looking on the attack now.
He's looking to be aggressive. They're aggressive through turn 6 now and in towards the sweepers. 7 and 8 on circuit. This is where you start testing the lap out there. Push to pass, you can see, is how we label it, the overtake system on your tower as they go up towards the highest point of the circuit. Turn 10 out here on track, and for the moment it is Marcos Alarcon who holds himself with the best responsibility of things at the moment. Chase on then as they will run down the hill. Very tough, a downhill braking zone. Of course, it's known for those in the Australia-New Zealand region quite a bit, a downhill braking zone. It's just MG corner, but it is a test of the last of the late breakers there at turn 10. Good opening lap then that sets itself up, and we see a lap then scored in the right way. Victor Awad is happy, and he is certainly doing a great job, Cam. I think we may have just lost Cam there for a moment, so we'll try and bring him back as soon as possible. But the chase on here in the middle as they start trying to battle here in this pack. Ben Ford side by side with Mackenzie Stewart, who's looking for the run off of the exit, trying to go and make that push a little tight over the curbs on the outside, but keeps the hold then well, does Ben Ford, as he tries to work himself up the order and keep in this place. Further forward, Solovier then as they battle for the race lead. James Byrne not close enough then to make the move, as wide has gone Jiang behind in third. So watch out there in just the back of shot that Jiang is under pressure at this point in time. But Alarcon now knows that there is tick back at this moment in time, Cam, heading up to turn 10 and the toughest braking zone on the circuit, turn 11.
Yeah, so far they've all done really, really well through turn 11. No real dramas. Everybody's doing their best. A couple of movers further back as well. Rosencrank trying to make his way on through it as well, moving up the field as best he can, but not quite early enough in the late yet to utilise the pace that he's got. He's still got to just keep on pushing on, but so far so good. And a couple of movers all in the spin at the back.
Radmilovic down underneath the oval banking has just tried to step the power down off of the exit. He's gone and got a tyre on the grass as he tried to drive off the corner, and bang, found himself in all sorts of trouble, did the Dutchman. So big trouble for Radmilovic, who will now have to try and recover this back. Here comes James Byrne, outside line searching here for 3 into 4. You have to give the room on the outside. There's a tiny bit of contact there. Alarcon does not listen.
He tried to get around the outside there, but it just didn't quite work and got squeezed just out onto the ripple strip a little bit too much. So played it safe and didn't quite get down the power enough and ended up slowing back and behind.
Yeah, very difficult. Let's take a look at this start then. This was the trouble that we saw off of the beginning then from Chris Rosenkrantz. So he just absolutely bogs down, gets no drive off of the get-go there, as if the car just bogs down, yields and says, no, can't get there. And everyone is down to the inside. There's a tip-up over there, and that really is going to hurt as you go through for Rob Mandermarker. And so then Rosenkrantz just ends up on the outside of it and then falls way down the order. So Radmilovic down to the back, and they're trying to recover Mandermarker and Rosenkrantz. They're 14th and 15th. Victor Awad starting to use a bit of push to pass out there to get through. James Byrne, he's 4 seconds less than Alarcon, and as this is the spin then that we see from Daniel Radmilovic, who went inside, turned it to outside there, and then just as he gets on the power cam, whoomph, round you go.
Yeah, the power band kicked in just at the wrong time, unfortunately, so ended up losing the rear end. It might have not also been helped by the fact that the 3D curb would have caused a lack of traction as well. So again, caught out by those brand new 3D curbs that we've got around these circuits, really testing these drivers here.
Right, let's take stock then. Alarcon leads as this looks like it's going to be trouble here into the final section. That's so easily done. Car 7 there of Mizuki Narahara then finding a spin back in 15th. Alarcon leads on board with James Byrne in second place. It's then Dan Giag, Kostek Solovier, Adam Merchant, Lucas Hahn, Dennis Branch, Brett Greaves, Ben Ford and Benjamin David make your top 10. Chasing through 7 and 8. And this is what we're going to be seeing a lot of here. Drivers are not going to be willing to use that button to use much of their overtake system, Cam. They want to use it as much as they can, as effectively as they can, which is save it up for the end and burn it for some all-out attack on the final stages. But here goes James Byrne using it now.
Yeah, we saw some interesting strategies last week at Watkins Lane. We saw guys using it in defence, some using it in an overtaking sense, and it really created some interesting strategies where guys were left with too little at the end of the race, some with plenty to burn. So we'll see what the strategy is with James Byrne at the moment, whether he decides to use a lot of it now, or try and keep up, or whether he decides to save it up. As you can see up in the top right-hand corner of the tower, the leader still got plenty in reserve. James using it in sort of short bursts, I guess you can say, to try and make a move or potentially just set something up as well. So he's been a little bit smart with it, using it a little bit too early though. But we'll see how it all plays out at the end between these two. But James still close enough that he's within reach of making a move, but potentially just wanting to sit station now.
Well, this is going to be grounds for how they pushed. It was labelled as a 75% chance of rain walking into today, Cam, and they've got none of it. Big wide line, not going to find it then through turns then 7 and 8 out on circuit. So having to run dry when you are maybe a 3 and 4 chance of running rain, that's going to create a different strategy for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. If it was wet, I imagine there would be a lot less, probably a lot less push to pass use, because you don't really need that extra bit of power. But at the same time, you might have even potentially looked to have the setup set up for the wet as well, with maybe a little bit more downforce than you were thinking you might need for the dry. So it'll be fascinating to see if anybody's actually done that. James seems to be lacking a little bit on the straight line as well, so potentially running a little bit more downforce, as he's very, very strong through that middle sector.
Yeah, the middle sector, the tight and twisties that you've got, he's very, very accomplished with. The issue he runs into is a bit of dirty air. Makes a difference and very tough to go and navigate through. We focus third and fourth for a moment and then further back as Solovier starts dropping ground. This is going to be tough then for these three right now, which is Mackenzie Stewart, Victor Awan and Chris Rosenkrantz. This is 11th, 12th and 13th places out there at this point. Now, key is going to be the need to drive through, as they've got Rob Mandermarker on the back and Solovier in trouble and spun out of 4.
Yeah, what has he done there? Oh, he's done that on his own as well, and he's actually not touched the grass or anything. It's just gone around on him out of the blue. So unfortunately, he's going to drop right to the back of the field as a result of that.
And he'll only know that he's got himself to blame. Through turn 4, back, just let's go. And ultimately, the back wants to see what the front's looking at. And the answer is, you are going to be right down at the very end of the field working through. Solovier now dead last in 18th position, with it all to do to jump up to find a way through. Lucas Hahn now chasing down the championship leader here, Adam Merchant, who would probably take a 4th place out there at this point in time. It's good, solid, consistent points, knowing there's no Timothy Friis Larsen here today, knowing that there are drivers in and around like Mandermarker, who's way down the order. You're just trying to build up. The only driver he's losing to, and minimally losing to right now, Cam, is Dan Jiang.
Yeah, Jiang's a little bit up the road from Merchant as well. I wouldn't say that it's an impossible gap to close, but at this point, if you can't close it, you're 100% right. Just take the 4th place points, knowing that you're going to have a nice little buffer. You're not going to lose a huge amount to everybody else around you in the championship.
You're not, and so that's going to be quite critical. James Byrne, though, still holding the shadow of Marcos Alarcon, who leads this one, the number 6 Spaniard against the American in the number 1 car for the highest I rating in this field. A strength of 5,000 plus out there, and there is troubles again. I think this is Mandermarker for a second time. Grass on the exit, that's what you call the full Timo Glock experience. No front wing left. And so that's going to have to be a trip down the lane for a bit more downforce.
Yeah, and he's only just touched the wall with the front wing as well, but it's just enough to be what's going to remove it. So he's unfortunately lost that front wing, and he's going to have to bring it down the pit lane this time around. And unfortunately, it was actually out of the final corner, so it's not as though he could just carry on into pit lane. He's had to do an entire lap with no front wing, so that's pretty much ruined his race entirely, I'd say, and going to be a hard slog from here on out.
Well, it's worst case scenario really for Mandermarker, and not much that he can do as that all sets. Byrne trying to line this up as we take a look at this from Ben Ford. Woof. gets very close through 3 and 4, and I think sees the mistake there and jumps on by. So Ben Ford getting by Brett Greaves, that for 7th place. He is your biggest mover now. He's up 9 spots in the race. He is on an absolute tear from the non-qualification.
Yeah, he's charging through the field quite nicely as Ben Ford. We saw that him do that last week as well at Watkins Glen, moving through the field quite nicely and quite quietly as well, just picking off people one at a time. That battle between those two, Greaves and Ford, has been brewing for a couple of laps, actually just been quietly keeping an eye on it. And Ford now in some clean air a little bit, so he'll be able to push on and hunt down Dennis Branch up ahead of him.
Already lap 8 of 23. We're a third of the way through this race. Ben Ford sitting there in 7th position, looking to give as much of a chase as he can. Looking at Dennis Branch as the next driver to get to. He's +2 for his day so far is Dennis, who is a very, very good qualifier of the car. Sometimes he gets a little bit caught out in race pace, but he's doing a very good job today right now, with hand in front at this point in time, who is repping the Jigglypuff on the front of the car. You've got then Adam Merchant that's there. They can see it just under the Honda badge there. Jigglypuff there and ready to go and start charging on forward with, and there in 5th position, pushing through the right of 14, and now needing another lap to get set, to get ready, and he is in cool down.
He's in cool down, but he's actually nice and close to the car in front of him, of Adam Merchant, to get a move done if he can get enough draft and if he can get a good enough run as well. So I wouldn't count this out as having an overtake on potentially this lap or the next, even without the overtake system being activated. So we'll see if he can get this move done, but still going to be having to push on because there's still plenty of racing to go at this point.
There is an incredible amount of racing, and so they are now looking to try and think about settling down middle. Chris Rosenkrantz now with the fastest lap of the race, as Hand here in 5th, starting to lose touch here with Adam Merchant. And now this is going to be a little concerning here, a gap of 0.8 of a second. It could be a lot more, it could be over a second, and then suddenly you're realising that Slipstream is not there. There is Rosenkrantz, who is up into the top 10. He's now eyeing Benjamin David up for a pass here. It's German versus German here for 9th.
I mentioned Rosenkrantz is going to make light of work of this. It's not going to be a hard-fought battle, I don't imagine, but the fact that Rosenkrantz has got quite a bit of pace and obviously trying to recover from what happened on lap 1 as well. So it's not going to be on the overtake system this time. Not quite going to be close enough for a move, but the move is brewing. You can see it aggressively to the apex versus David, but whether this pass is going to happen at turn 1 potentially. He's close enough. Whoa, it gets very sideways on the exit, touches the grass. Lucky not to loop it as well, but that's not what he wants to be doing. He wants to be a bit smoother than that.
Whoa, Nelly, hold on, David, as now you see Chris Rosenkrantz there behind, really struggling. You can tell that Benjamin David is a big Adrian Sutil fan with delivery that he's got on at the moment. Pushing down then into the left of 3 and 4, driving off of the exit here, and then looking to try and put the power down once more to turn 5. Your first eye of the banking here, a 110-degree right-hander, just waiting as you get the signage underneath here, and this is the moment that you know you're out of the first sector and you're free into the second.
Yeah, from this point on, you just got to commit and get nice, good flow through these corners. Don't overdrive them, don't underdrive them. You need to be right within that little sweet spot of a window, and at the moment, both these drivers are doing a fantastic job of getting through. Rosenkrantz on the overtake system now, knowing that he's going to set the move up for turn 11. It's looking like he's done an okay job of getting the exit, so close enough now that he is going to get this move done very, very nicely and move up one more position to the inside on the way down towards turn 11, and gets the move done before they've even got to the braking zone.
Yep, sweeps through, but now look at the drive off the exit here, because you're going to have to defend through 12 and 13 into 14. It's a very tough end to the lap here at Motegi as James Byrne sets the fastest lap of the race, a 129.4. Then as they are really forcing each other to go as quick as possible at the front of this group, there is the Simsa car that is looking to push on and says, well, this is everything for Chris Rosenkrantz at this stage. I'm happy with where I am. I'm sitting in a very nice position in this 9th place and saying, look, I don't have to worry too much. Speaking of worry, Dennis Branch and Ben Ford. Now the gap down to half a second, a comfortable 2 to 3 tenths a lap being lopped off.
Yeah, about 3 tenths quicker that last time by was Ben Ford, so he's catching Dennis Branch here quite nicely. Not in very rapid fashion, but just enough, with enough of a buffer each lap being nice and consistently quick. So this pass going to end up coming very, very soon, I'd say, based on that pace differential.
Yeah, that pace differential will make a lot, as Branch will now keep noting what he needs to do out there. Dan Jiang there, you can see the light flashing, indicating he's used, and also indicating there was Lucas Hand and Dennis Branch, who have both also found themselves using what they can. The light flashing says you can't use it, you're waiting, you need to make sure that it's charged up again so you can have another go with the overtake system available out there for you to have a go with. But for the moment, this is really turning into one of those races where I think everyone is waiting for the last couple of laps to go and make this pass. This is a tough circuit to get past at the best of times, and so if you get a run, you get a half run at turn 3, you get a full run at 5, and you get a full run at turn 11. Outside of that, you're really going to struggle to get a pass.
You're not wrong there, and you just got to keep pushing on as a result, despite the fact that it is going to be quite frustrating and how hard it is to do that. You're just going to have to keep on doing it. Now, just also to know, James Byrne has done the fastest lap 2 laps in a row, and he was about a tenth quicker than your race leader. So, well, we're potentially seeing something here, and he did it both with no overtake on. So Byrne has turned up the work, and he's certainly starting to charge down your race leader here.
He is, and I think he is making Marcos Alarcon know that he is going to be under pressure. But here's the flip side of it. He can get close, yes, but Alarcon has not touched his overtake system. So if it has to come down late to how this goes about, Alarcon right now sits with about a lap and a third of overtake mode that he can just burn at the end of this race, because James Byrne hasn't shown he's got the ability to get to the inside just yet.
Yeah, he hasn't quite gotten close enough to get a move done, but he is getting just that little bit closer and closer there. 3 in a row now, so absolute pace coming out of that number 1 car at the moment, just burning lap time off every single time. That gap is there. He's close, but it's just not quite close enough to get the move done. You can see how he gets so close under the brakes, but just can't seem to get the power down is what the difference seems to be.
Well, the difference is everything right now. You get to here, 0.4 of a second, you realise you're stuck in the dirty air. You can't do anything about it through 7. You can't do anything about it here through turn 8. It's a much shallower line, though, by James Byrne compared to Marcos Alarcon. And these two are the stars of this field right now. They've left Dan Jiang 3 seconds in the dust. They've got Adam Merchant, the championship leader, only in 4th position. So that's a lot of work to do to go and gather this all back. Alarcon then down the hill past the West Pit and now dropping down to turn 11. It's like falling off the end of the earth when you hit the brakes here and try and turn in, but critically Alarcon responding on this lap.
Yeah, nice pace coming from Alarcon at this lap. Let's see what the lap time looks like when he crosses the line. Going to end up being a new fastest lap, and he is just taking the purple straight off the number 1 car, going, no, you're not going to do that to me today. It's my turn.
Yeah, they are trading out there at the front as if they are on the Nikkei Stock Exchange. That's the way it needs to be done at this moment. A little bit further back, though, is Branch and Ford. That gap has stabilised right now at around 3 to 4 tenths of a second, and I think this is where you're really finding out what you've got. It's one thing to make passes early when drivers know what sort of pace that they've got and they're starting to maybe put it together. When everyone's got a great understanding of the track, they've settled in, they've done 13, 14 laps, this is where it's great times to make a move, because this is where you go, okay, pace should even out between drivers who are racing against each other.
Yeah, and at this sort of point, you'll start to understand who's got what underneath them as far as not just general pace, but tyres as well, because you've got those tyres starting to show a little bit of signs of wear and tear, with the fact we're now pretty much halfway through this race and still got a little bit to go as well. So if you've looked after your tyres in the first handful of laps, then you're going to be looking in pretty good shape at the end here, especially if those around you have been burning them up quite badly with lockup sliding in general. Not great smoothness.
It's going to make life tough if you start turning them into 50 pence pieces out there, or you're basically driving on square tyres, which is never a good idea. James Byrne responding back himself. Oh, the top two come together on circuit, and bang, Dan Jiang leads. Oh my word, that's completely changed this race.
Yeah, what an incident. Oh, and it just looked like it was the slightest of taps as well, and unfortunately it's all gone wrong for both of them.
Well, I think you're going to have a little bit of a word with the pair of them. It's a very tough circuit to go and overtake. James Byrne goes to the inside, tries to catch Alarcon, who's already lost it, actually, as he's gone through. Then James Byrne's got nothing to go with, and Alarcon just rolls it back around and gets into the side of James Byrne, which I think is very unsporting. Meanwhile, it's all Merchant now. He's second, but Dan Jiang leads now by 2 and a bit seconds.
Yeah, that's a free pass if you're ever going to take one in. That's one you definitely are going to want if you're Dan Jiang. Here's another replay of what's happened. It almost looks like he's just pinched the inside front, but Alarcon actually runs a bit wide into the marbles, and he's already lost it before the contact, and the contact's obviously not helped him there. I almost want to say Alarcon's rolled back to try and get off the racing circuit, but then James has gone to do the same thing, and unfortunately just ended up in the wrong place, wrong time. At the same time, Alarcon probably should have held the brakes, but yeah, that's really, really unfortunate for both of them.
Wow, that certainly changes the way that this race is going to be run. Suddenly, Merchant versus Hand is the race for the podium. Branch is now up into 4th. Ben Ford now to 5th, and a move down the inside as Brett Greaves loses out to Chris Rosenkrantz now, who gets the move done, and that will put him up into 6th position with that pass. Not a bad recovery for being backwards on lap 1.
Yeah, he's doing very, very nicely, chipping away at this race, currently moving back towards a top 5 finish. He's got a little bit of a gap to Ben Ford ahead of him, but I'd say don't count him out for a top 5 recovery at this rate with the way he's going.
On-board look then. James Byrne needing to dive down the inside in the red and yellow, and oh no, he does tag. He does tag him. It's not great. He's got pace, and then realises car's coming back across then, and his Advan tyres then ultimately find themselves nowhere of any use out there at that point. So James Byrne does initiate the contact, just a tiny bit too deep, and a difference maker out there. Now, I keep noting Dan Jiang here along this straight. He keeps burning up 2% here, 2 seconds here, 2 seconds there, out there to keep the margin up to Adam Merchant. Merchant, another one of these drivers who has not touched a smidgen of his overtake system, and knows that he's got maybe about an extra 50 seconds he can burn down in the final stages, but that's not going to be enough for 2.5 seconds chase down.
Probably not, but I wouldn't count it out because there is quite a bit of pace in that overtake system.
Wouldn't doubt that for a second. Rosenkrantz, though, fastest lap there in 6th position as Dennis Branch sees Ben Ford there for the podium. Rosenkrantz is the man on the move right now. There's a reason why he put the car on pole position. A poor start is what's had him down the order. He'll look around and see this here as Ben Ford now looking around, hoping, okay, I've got to run here through 6. Now look to 7 now. On the outside, we'll try to move. Not there. Covered well by Dennis Branch. Now take another leap out the book. How are you going to cut around for turn 9? You have to defend the inside line here, middle of the road here from the likes of Dennis Branch, and now at turn 10, again, you're going to have to defend the line here. Ben Ford is asking this one to be as tough to penetrate through as the Great Wall of China, but right now, there's going to be some crumbled bricks. Here comes the move then from Ben Ford to the inside. Surely this one is going to be had as he goes and makes his way through. Dennis Branch can't do anything for it. Outside line is confirmed.
He tried to brake a little bit later and did end up holding station, but just obviously no grip going to be on that outside for turn 11. You try to hold around the outside, then you just hurt yourself more than anything, so unfortunately not going to happen. But there's a battle up ahead of these two as well. Lucas Hand is on the back of Adam Merchant, throwing mirror distractions, trying to move it to the inside and outside, trying to fill those mirrors of Adam Merchant. And it is sort of working, but he's just not quite been able to get the pass done yet.
Yeah, looking for a way through. Top 10 score points, remember, and Mizuki Narahara is that driver in 10th, all on his own. Then with comparison to Radmilovic and Solovier, who are the ones chasing down. But for the moment, they work themselves towards turn 6 here. Hand and then Merchant. There is Rosenkrantz, who is trying to catch the back and has now caught the back of Dennis Branch and Ben Ford. So there's another two drivers he can look to leapfrog back through with to get up to 5th, to get up to 4th. He's eyeing this up, and they're not a million miles off, it has to be said here, of Hand and Merchant too. That's only 2 seconds.
Yeah, if these lot keep on fighting as hard as they were before, that podium position is looking very, very likely for Rosenkrantz.
No look, down the inside, turn 11, sorry, so it's close, but for the moment, Adam Merchant holds himself steady. He's doing the job of what he did. Oh, Hand gone, spins, final corner, they're all gonna go by now. Wowee, that came out of nowhere for Lucas Hand, just running through, turning down into the left, and he's caught too much trail brake.
Yeah, that looks exactly like what's happened. Just gripped the front up a little bit too much and around he went, unfortunately. So he's had to let quite a few cars on by. He's dropped all the way down into 9th. So it's still in the top 10, but that is so unfortunate. Not what he would have wanted at all. Does take pressure off Ben Ford, though.
It does, and so it puts him 3rd. He doesn't have to worry too much about the points he's scoring, especially with Dennis Branch and the way he's battling Cam.
You're certainly right there, as Rosenkrantz is going to shape up a move on Branch here. He's not going to be able to get it done through these two corners here. Is it going to be close enough to get it done at the following one? Turn 9, not quite, so probably going to shape him up for turn 10 or turn 11. He is very close on the back, but just not quite able to make anything happen. Now, Adam Merchant is actually slightly catching Dan Jiang as well, so I wouldn't discount something happening in the next couple of laps, potentially.
Jiang, though, with a 4-second gap, so he is slowly extending it out here. So this is turning the screw as far as the front of this race goes. Light flashing for Dennis Branch. He's had to use some to defend then, compared to Chris Rosenkrantz, who's on 166 seconds remaining here in this. So Branch finally starting to sense, I'm going to have to do something here at Twin Ring Motegi, or what now is the Mobility Resort Motegi, to go and hold. It's deep through turn 1, just about covered off. Then as they exit turn 2 and get the drive off the exit, you feel these straights right now. Front straight, turn 2 to 3 straight, turn 4 to 5 straight. Cam, you feel like you need an extra 100 meters on each of them.
Yeah, you almost do. It's close, but it's just not quite enough at this point to be able to make anything happen. He's so close to getting the job done, but just not, unfortunately, able to do anything at the moment. But he is wide, and Krangens is going to get up the inside and get that move done nicely with the overtake system as well. So move done for Chris there, and now he's going to be on the hunt for Ben Ford, who's not too far up the road.
If you can get a podium like this, Chris, that is a wonderful recovery over today's action. This has been a very tough run. There's your leader, pretty in red right now, is Dan Jiang, the Aussie, and he's burning up again, a few more seconds, and he knows he has to. Uses the full straight, 6 seconds worth of it. Then as he hits the brakes and dives on through, Adam Merchant still hasn't touched anything, and suddenly that gap in terms of overtake mode time is about 60 seconds difference.
That's quite a lot of time as well when you think about it in relative terms to everything that's gone on. So just trying to not make it too bad, but Ben Ford still holding on as best he can. He's got a little bit of a buffer at the moment with the fact that Rosenkrantz is on the recharge or the slow downtime with the overtake system, but he's certainly got a lot of worry in the next 2 laps.
He does. Rosenkrantz now sitting himself up, looking for a podium here. Ben Ford is the one who's going to have to understand that this is not a day-done style of running. There is also scrapping for 7th and 8th right now between Benjamin David and Victor Awad, who are both having great runs. Victor Awad, what a run he's having from 17th up to 8th position. They're all burning this up now, Cam. Look at the way they're burning. They're down to, what, 10 seconds each?
It's very close to, and he's out. Victor is out of overtake now, and so is Benjamin David. No, Benjamin David's just pushed the button to stop it, and he's got 20 seconds left, so he's got a little bit of an advantage, but it's not a lot, and Lucas Hand is on the button behind them, so he's coming in thick and fast as well.
Yeah, they're all looking, they're all pushing, they're all using, and so drivers have different ways of making it work, but if you burn it too early, you've got nothing left to fight with. Here in the final couple of laps of this race, Dan Jiang, 136 seconds now, is probably looking at a full lap's left to push, left as they go. Benjamin David here, still holding his ground, still doing very well. Awad now has got to do it purely on skill, but look at that, 20 seconds for David to hold and defend.
And that's more than enough, I'd say, if he has a moment to be able to get away from Victor. So Victor's really going to have to push hard here to try and stay with him, especially once Benjamin pushes the button again to use the rest of that overtake on the last lap here.
So that's going to be crucial right now. They sit with not long left in this race. They know that this is final opportunitiesville, that they now sit themselves up with and go, look, we're going to use everything we can and every trick in the book to go and start using. You'll see a lot of flashing arrows on our timing tower in the next, lap and a bit. But for the moment, Benjamin David with 20 seconds, Brett Greaves with 51. You've all got the last lap to go and start working. Those in, second through to 5th, they're going to be looking around at this and saying, right, we got to just cover everybody else off at this point. Last lap starts here then for Dan Jiang, who leads this field and comfortably leads this field, it has to be said. Ben Ford, fastest lap of the race then, as Chris Rosenkrantz takes that away from him on a 28 flat on that last go around. Absolutely burning down the batteries then as they look this final lap and say, this is where we're trying to chase. Gap now down to 4 seconds. Radmilovic sees Solovier. They're changing positions back there as they're fighting for those just outside of Lady Luck's position point right now. So they're going to scrap down into turn 3. Radmilovic then runs it a bit deep. Solovier is going to get the inside line. Next to no room between them as they dance on the tightrope and hope that they've got angle to work with, but it's covered off inside by Radmilovic, trying to go around the outside to get the move, and it's still Radmilovic who holds his ground and does a brilliant job of things right now. Last chance saloon for those coming through turn 10, leading towards turn 11. Merchant's got the gap on Ford, who looks like he's got the gap on Rosenkrantz, but nobody is even remotely close to Dan Jiang. He's not had the pace today to challenge the likes of Alarcon and a James Byrne, but if they're going to take each other out, this is as free as a win can get. Dan Jiang to the line, wins at Motegi.
Yeah, and that's the sort of race you want to do if you're Dan Jiang. Just do everything you need to. If you don't know the pace, just cruise and let whatever happens, it happens in front of you. And today, that is the sort of race that you're going to want heading into the back end of the season, knowing that you've got that in your pocket now to have quite a nice little bit of points to come away with.
Final finishers, they're making a way through. Solovier does lose out to Radmilovic over the line, so changes there being critical. One of the last drivers over will be Gerhard Roth, who is looking at this one in 15th position. And then finally, behind him, Rob Mandermarker, who had an absolutely horrible day at the office. No points for him out there in this run, and critically dropping vital championship points to Dan Jiang and Adam Merchant, who are up there at the front of this field. So let's mark this off as what a day at Motegi, and whose mobility resort ends up with a pampering. It's Dan Jiang, who does so in 34 minutes and 28 seconds. He wins by a margin of 4.5 over Adam Merchant, with Ben Ford finishing in third and Chris Rosenkrantz in fourth. Dennis Brudge is fifth ahead of Brett Greaves, with Benjamin David and Victor Awad seventh and eighth. Your top 10 and final points go to Lucas Hand, who spun from the podium, and then Mizuki Narahara, who will round out your top 10. Daniel Radmilovic will be on the outside looking in, with Kostek Solovier, Mackenzie Stewart, Jamie Byrne, Gerhard Roth, Rob Mandermarker, and then the two retirees coming together at the front of the field and looking red-faced at each other. Marcos Alarcon and James Byrne, both running into troubles. This will be a good time to grab an interview, and I believe this is going to be Ben Ford, who is here along with us for the ride. Great race today, 16th to 3rd.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you, cut out.
Great race today, 16th to 3rd.
Yeah, I was quite happy because in practice I didn't have that much pace, I felt like. And qualifying I spun twice because I'm useless in qualifying. But yeah, the race actually went quite well. I was surprised. Good battles, overtake well. Yeah, went all right.
Talk about the prowess of trying to overtake, to get all of those moves done and getting those passes done, because it's not easy passing here at Motegi. So in terms of how you look to pick it up, you had a bit of help from certain places, but what do you think was your key to making passes around this track today?
Well, yeah, like you said, a lot of people spun in front, which helps quite a bit coming from that far back. I made a few decent moves in the two hairpins into the lap. It's just trying to force the other driver into making a mistake and hoping you can capitalise, which I think I did. So I went on Dennis. I put a few, I was going up the inside but didn't, and then got a few cutbacks, which is good. Which is a good battle, to be fair with him. He was clean and everything. So it's just about trying to find the right gap and making people make mistakes.
Yeah, you did a really good job of that. Let's talk where we are, round 4 of the championship next week. So you move on from Mobility Resort Motegi. You will jump on over to the Hockenheim Ring for round 4. Similar in some respects here to Motegi, but the big key is that run up to turn 6, the Spitzkehrer. Do you feel like that's going to be the lottery of who can get the best run on the overtake system to get the pass done down there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot wider than Motegi, so it should be a lot easier to battle. I expect it to be a bit closer as well, because it's a bit more of a popular track, I think, because space participation this week hasn't been amazing. But yeah, I think Hockenheim will be a great race, to be fair. It usually is.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck for that, and some very key championship points going your way. Ben Ford, who gets the final spot then on the podium here today. This show has been brought to you in collaboration with Sync Mesh, with Pimax out there as well. It's been brought to you by Scorpio Esports, with Get Good, and as well as that, with Grid Finder. This show is brought to you with the collaboration of Full Push Sim Gear, Canada's ultimate destination for elite gear. From precision pedals to professional turnkey rigs, we fuel your obsession. Pure performance, expert support. Push harder, drive faster. This show is brought to you with the help of Traction.gg. If you're enjoying the virtual action and want to understand more about the goings-on within sim racing, visit the Traction.gg website daily for the latest platform updates, news, and interviews. Stay up to speed with the industry, the developers, and the latest equipment. That's Traction.gg, where you can also sign up for their weekly email newsletter. This show is made possible by Sim Racing Nation, the community for sim racing enthusiasts and motorsport professionals from around the world. They focus on fostering competitive racing and an environment for drivers of all skill levels. And it can't be said much more than the work that is done with the Sim Gaming Expo, which returns September 18th through 20th in Schaumburg, Illinois, North America's only event celebrating every genre of simulation gaming under one roof. Get your tickets at simgamingexpo.com. The pace today you have seen thanks to Tamash Setups. Take your iRacing setups to the next level with Tamash Setups. Get race-winning, well-reviewed setups for Super Formula and Super Formula Lights today. You can head on over to tamashsetups.com or search for Tamash Setups on Patreon. And finally, over to Into the Apex Motorsports Podcast Network. The Into the Apex podcast follows the world of sim racing as if in a Discord on a Friday night or around the track campfire. See more at intotheapex.com. Cam, incredible day's worth of running today, but next week it is the Hockenheimring, which will feel a little bit bigger of a track out there as you challenge, but still, it is going to be one of the most interesting places. Turn 6 the battle, and then the arena section to end the lap.
Yeah, and those long straights are going to be very, very important to utilising their overtake system as well as the draft to get passes done nice and easily. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of passes with the draft and also a lot of bombs at the hairpins. So looking forward to that race, and it's going to be one that's more than likely going to be just as entertaining.
The only place you can catch it is with us on SimSpeed TV and, of course, on the iRacing Esports Network. Those, of course, who are watching this on iRacing Live for action here today. It's a wonderful day's worth of running here as we have had so much to go and smile with. It was gearing up to be two titans going at it, but those two titans implode together at turn 1 out here at Motegi. If you want to pick up the spoils, well, you got to get in the Jiang gang. Dan Jiang picking up a big win and making sure he holds his margin as he chips away at the championship lead of Adam Merchant heading to the Hockenheimring.
Have you always dreamt of becoming a racing driver or turning passion into something real? At Scorpio Esports and RaceGen, we exist to make that journey possible. Backed by Scorpio Motorsport, a real racing team with 26 years of experience, we develop talent from sim to circuit. Just like Jason Kasman, who is now stepping into GB4. This is more than esports. This is a pathway. Join us today.